I'm going to talk a moment about the slide that I put up. Even though people are outside, it doesn't matter because it's not as important. And with all the guys that actually were here on the panels, the intellectual know-how of the guys creating application, creating blockchain is really amazing. And thanks to Mark that I got in contact with all... exactly, also. Thank you to Fabio, exactly. No, but what is amazing and is trying to learn, as also Christo was saying before, I mean, we still don't understand anything, which is true, but we try to learn and we try to bring this information to the public. And I put up this slide and just put that as food for thoughts. I mean, from a computer point of view, it's not very complicated, it's actually very simple, but in 1980s, we had these big phones in our cars. I mean, yeah, my car not because I was just born. But then in 2000, we moved on, and we had the Nokia phones where we only had the numbers and small. The smaller it was, the better it was that you could put in your pocket. And then after, today, we moved to the smartphones. And, well, I guess everybody has kids, and I cannot get them out of their hands. They always keep that in their hands. They keep on watching and everything. And then, at the end of the day now, tomorrow, what is happening? We heard from panel 1, panel 3, panel 1, 2, and 3, sorry. And now we're going to hear from the visionaries and the pioneers who have actually built the whole infrastructure. There is a term that is being used, and the term Web3 was coined by Polkadot founder and Ethereum co-founder Gavin Wood in 2014, referring to a decentralized online ecosystem based on blockchain. And now that I said the name of Gavin Wood, I'm already getting a bit nervous because I'm so proud that we were able to get him to Lugano. And we're going to ask him actually if he likes Lugano, but if he likes it, then we have a chance to get him back again. But it's really, it's very, very important, and it's an honor for us that we were able to do this. And I want, if you can move to the next slide. I mean, we were hearing the guys before speaking about what they're actually building and what they're doing. And I read this citation recently by a colleague of mine on LinkedIn, and I thought it was very interesting, and I just added a small word to it. But success is not the key to happiness. Happiness and passion, and I underline passion because that's what we heard before, are the keys to success. And if you love what you're doing, you'll be successful. I definitely believe this is true. Even though I was very passionate and I tried to become a very strong tennis player, which at the end I was not able to get so good as Roger Federer, but that was my dream. But even with that, my parents allowed me to go study in the United States, and I could pay everything for myself because I was playing for the university that I was, and that was in Boca Raton. And it was fantastic, a fantastic experience, and I was able to do so many things afterwards. And today, I was also able to bring such an important event here to Lugano. And this was, I think it can also be a dream that we did, and we're bringing best guys, top 5 in the world from blockchain. Here we go, please. Let's welcome Mark Cachia. He's Gavin and Ed. Thank you.
Just in time. We're a little bit thirsty. Thank you. Take one, keep one. Thanks. Cheers. So first of all, I just want to thank everyone that's here. Thank you for sharing this moment with us. This is the first gathering that we've done under Scytale. We've been doing it since 2017. This is our first conference. A big thank you to Sascha for being inspiring us and putting together all this amazing organization. A big thank you to Christoph. It was his vision to do it this way, which is a really smart way to do it. Half a day of people talking and then the rest of the time to hang out. And a big thank you to Fabio. Where are you, Fabio? Stand up. Is he here? Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. So Fabio introduced us to Sascha. He also introduced, so he's an investor with us, a limited partner, and an advisor, in fact. And he's brought, here he is, Fabio. Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to talk about Polkadot and the future of Polkadot. we're investing in the ecosystem, and we're really excited about what's happening. So hopefully you're a little bit familiar with the basics, because we're going to talk about the future. So Ed is how we got started. We met in 2015 and had the idea to start this in the beginning of 2017, and finally got live by the end of that year with the first fund. And he brought Gavin, a friend, and also Aaron, who couldn't make it today. And the idea was to invest with the intelligence that these guys have. They're building blockchain companies, and our background is asset management. And the idea is just to put these two things together and to try to do it in a smart way. Looks okay so far, I hope you agree. From the teams that you've seen up here speaking, we're really, really privileged to partner with everyone. And Ed had the idea for Energy Web and founded the company that co-founded Energy Web. Energy Web is going to have a big impact on the future of Polkadot. And Ed, maybe you'll explain what Energy Web's future is and what that means.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Mark. So my name is Ed. I'm a mechanical engineer. I had a classical corporate career. I programmed control systems for power plants, and then went pretty much to management in these companies that I worked for. Did this for 15 years, and then I stumbled over crypto 10 years ago, and was very interested in the tech behind it. And then as Ethereum emerged, that's how we met first time, where I invited them for dinner in 2014 in Vienna. And I told them, I wanted to explain to them how energy market works, which is incredibly complex. And that's somehow how we started working. So while they were working on Ethereum, we did a lot of research, how could we apply this technology to lower the transaction fees in the energy market by 99%. And down the road, 2 years, Ethereum got launched in 15, and in 16 we then Gav launched Parity, ETH at that time, and we grid Singularity. And Gav, was my inspiration because the work that he does is very abstract. And so what my challenge always was, how can we take these abstract things and transform this into business and make business more efficient? And so we launched, so we initiate Energy Web. Could you please pull up yeah. So what is Energy Web? Energy Web is, as we saw Ethereum evolving and kind of opening up, it was clear for us that a regulated market like the energy market, they will not go on Ethereum, because a regulator would never, allow something on Gona technology where they can't see, where they don't know who's the validator, or, if systems can fork, like it happened in Bitcoin or in Ethereum, so forth. So this would be a no-go for energy regulators. And so Gav came up with an idea how we could create a consortium, a technology for a consortium where we have known validators, known parties that create the network. But anyone could use the network, so anyone literally can utilize the network. So what you see here behind me, this is the live network of Energy Web. It's the only and actually the largest kind of consortium chain, where all those companies here from Shell, the largest companies in the world and startups, they create the chain, and majority of the certificates of origin or all kind of energy trading related things are already happening on this chain. Now we knew that this chain at that time, Gav built the technology, I did the political task of creating this consortium. It was growing fairly fast, and what we did in this consortium is we did task forces, we created frameworks, how to track electricity, how to deal with identities of energy assets, and that all happened 5 years ago. But the thing is, we never went on any crypto stages talking about it. In energy, pretty much everyone knows us. In crypto, nobody knows us, because we were really focusing only on real business. And so what happened was this technology, this is one chain. One chain has a limited bandwidth for transactions. And this technology that we used here, the proof of authority chain, the validators are the authorities, it got copied many times. So for now, there is a lot of like Binance, Ronin, and a lot of chains that actually copied this technology from us. And what else happened is that, for example, a lot of these corporates in the last few years, they made a lot of kind of application-specific chains, because there is a bunch of applications where you don't need to put the data on the public chain. Let me give you an example. So there's the two largest banks in France and the two largest utilities, EDF and Engie. They created a chain together with 4 validators, where Engie and EDF, they're hashing, they're making a kind of a digital print of all the invoices, and the banks, they're using these digital prints to do KYC, to understand who's the party that is applying for a bank account. 30% of all the applications to the banks are forged, and so they brought down the KYC cost from 10 euro to 3 euro per person. So that is, and there is a lot of these application-specific kind of chains which essentially copied the technology from us. And now comes Polkadot in the game. Here is where Polkadot comes into the game. You know, from the beginning, we thought like this technology, it will fill the gap for a few years where we can help corporates onboarding into this technology, but at one point in time, the bandwidth will not suffice anymore. And we knew that, you know, there will be a lot of those application-specific chains happening, and that is pretty much kind of kicking off exponentially right now. We have 250 companies in this thing, a lot of application-specific chains, and the corporates slowly realize, wait a second, actually this digital print, digital kind of print of the invoice, I could be using for something else. But how can I take my data from one chain to another chain? And that is that, you know, you can do that technically, but you have to build another chain, which is the bridge between the chains. And that is technically a bit challenging because it's a trust point, you know. And so, and Gav had the idea, you know, coming from Ethereum, and he built Ethereum essentially. You know, the Polkadot vision was essentially, they brought everything inside. And maybe Gav, you know, you explain yourself, you know what was, you know, how you derived from Ethereum to Polkadot. The architecture is, you know, is a perfect match where we now can bring all those application-specific chain together that is connecting to this chain, and then all the markets can you know, cross-communicate, bring assets from one chain to the others, and that is something that Polkadot will enable. We are, you know, we are in the upgrade right now, so we hope the upgrade will happen in the next few months. What we will start to see then is a Cambrian explosion of innovation, because then we can stack finally applications on top of each other, meaning it will become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and shorter to innovate. So the first thing that we actually do at Energy Web is we have a couple of country deals on country level with regulators. So there is one deal, for example, with Australia, with the Australian regulator and transmission system operator. In 2 years, all the asset identities and data access management will run on this chain. It's a done deal. And we have 6 other countries where this is already, it will basically become law that this technology is being used. And and then those chains through Polkadot can start talking to each other. And so once you have the identities, the second is the trading. Once you can authenticate trading, then you can plug in the whole decentralized finance on top of it, refinancing, lending, and so forth. That is already happening in Polkadot. So that's why, you know, this makes me enormously, you know, I'm super excited about this, because when we started talking about this was just, you know, it felt like a pipe dream. Can we change such a big industry like energy? But, you know, 5 years down the road, it's happening. You know, it's really coming. It's inevitable, because we're reducing transaction costs by more than 99%. Sorry, it was a long one, Gav. Yeah.
Thanks, Ed. If you just take a few more minutes and talk about how Energy Web will be the next version, let's say, be the first manifestation of the next version of Polkadot.
So the next
relay chain.
Yeah. So the next upgrade we're doing is this chain behind us, or this kind of this circle of companies that are creating the chain, that are validating all the transactions there. This chain will become its own kind of relay chain, and a relay chain is essentially where the trust is created. You know, that's where the consensus is happening. And then the parachains that's where the functionality is happening. So all those country chains, Australia, California, Germany, they can hook into the chain and lend the security from there, the trust. But they can keep their own sovereignty with their own governance. They can do their own upgrades and so forth. And that's the upgrade we're doing, where we create essentially a copy of Polkadot for the energy sector. And then down the road, Gav still has to build a bit more tech, a bit more upgrading. And then down the road, the vision is that Polkadot actually and this chain will merge. So essentially merge like companies. So we have seen in the crypto space, we have seen a lot of networks that are splitting. So, and we're already starting to see mergers where ecosystems buy ecosystems. One token is buying the other one, and the chains are merging. And when that happens, you know, I'm basically can make, okay, done. Because, you know, what we're essentially doing is we're decentralizing ourselves. At the beginning, there is a leader, there is someone motivating others, bringing people together to come to a consensus. But then, you know, as you have the ecosystem, then the only goal of you is to make yourself obsolete, to get out, so that the ecosystem contains and continues building it.
Thanks, Ed. Now, but before we can get there, there's a very important and transformational feature on Polkadot, which is about to be rolled out. It's called XCM, stands for cross-chain messaging. And we've seen many times in the very recent history, a lot of hacks on bridges, you know, secure chains, trying to transact with each other over a bridge, which is a point of weakness. And it's become very dangerous for chains to interoperate. XCM is an answer to this and more. I'll ask Gav to explain what XCM means, what it can do, and how that changes everything.
All right, lovely. So, first of all, Lugano è una città bellissima, veramente. Sicuramente tornerò io. Yeah, XCM. Okay, so, you know, Polkadot's a product, right? Polkadot's a technology. The product is, in some sense, like parachains, right? So parachains are blockchains. They're domain specific. They can do some particular things very well. Most of them can also do smart contracts as well. So they can do everything that most of these, you know, supposedly general purpose chains do, but they can actually do other things really, really, really well, very performant. The thing that Polkadot provides for these parachains, because these are blockchains, they can exist, you know, on their own perfectly happily. It was covered a little bit earlier in one of the panels, but I want to like spell it out. The first thing is that they get security, right? So they actually inherit the security of Polkadot's consensus. Security is two things, right? The first thing is that you get guaranteed if a transaction has happened, we call it finalized, it will not get reverted, right? And for this, you get a guarantee. You get a sort of level of insurance. The insurance is basically how much would an attacker have to spend in order to actually get it reverted. And we're talking with Polkadot's you know, current value is in the billions, tens of billions. The second thing is that we get guarantees that the business logic will actually be executed correctly, right? And at the moment, there are a bunch of parachains, and they're getting these guarantees, right? That's why that's the thing that is being delivered right now. The second thing, this mic is really awful. Okay, the second thing is that these chains, because they share the same level of security with each other, it means that we can very easily have them talk between each other, right? Excellent, thanks.
Hello? Yeah, all right, good. Right, so it means that we can basically take these chains, get not just the level of security that is inherited from the Polkadot relay chain, the main Polkadot chain, but also it means that they can chat among themselves. This is something that you can only do securely if the participants in the conversation actually are both at the same level of security. And as Mark astutely pointed out, the products that are attempting to deliver this communication between blockchains that are not under the same consensus, ultimately, are flawed. They're very seriously flawed. And we've seen some multi-hundred-million-dollar hacks in recent weeks, precisely because of this fundamental flaw. And this flaw, these hacks have because of specific bugs, but the underlying flaw, which is that one chain getting hacked has a toxic effect on any chains that it's connected to, that flaw is not going away, right? If you want to know a little bit more about this flaw, you can read a relatively, I think a few weeks ago, Vitalik published a post, basically where he makes a fairly long and convincing, in my mind, argument as to why this flaw will basically disallow high-value bridges in the long term. Ultimately, everything will get hacked. Now, Polkadot has a technology. It's actually a set of technologies. XCMP is sort of somewhere on the stack, and XCM is slightly confusingly named another thing that's also on the stack. But basically, these technologies in aggregate allow Polkadot's parachains, Polkadot's like individual shards, to talk between each other, right? It means they can send messages, right? In concrete terms, it means they can do stuff like zap tokens between themselves, or NFTs. It means that if you have a certification on one chain, you can get a sort of guaranteed attestation that that certification exists on another chain that's actually secure, that's like certain as any transactions on your chain that have been finalized are certain. And the rollout of XCMP, together with its sort of counterpart XCM, will be the first time that Polkadot parachains will be able to talk between each other securely. And what this enables, if it's not already obvious, is that the functionality that is provided on one Polkadot parachain will be just inherently utilizable trustlessly by another parachain. And this can be, in principle, sort of stacked up. So you can have parachain A, which uses parachain B, which uses parachain C, and so forth. So what you can imagine is like maybe you've got some NFTs, like an in-game NFT parachain. It's, and it serves out NFTs for video games. And you've got maybe a DeFi parachain, and it would allow you to transfer those NFTs into a DeFi parachain and borrow against them. Maybe you lend them out for a day or two. You get some. Maybe it's like some awesome sword for something like World of Warcraft or something, and you can like basically stash your sword. I'm not going to use World of Warcraft for a couple of days. Stash your sword away and send it off to the DeFi chain and basically have that and behind the scenes rent it out. Except the DeFi chain probably wouldn't rent it out. The DeFi chain would just do the sort of initial deal of giving you effectively like an interest rate on this collateral. And then there would be another chain that the DeFi chain would utilize that would basically be kind of like an auctioning chain that would say, I'll lend you this sword, give me your best bid. And the DeFi chain would be the thing that actually takes the hit if its auctioning prediction is inaccurate. Yeah, so hey, that should be out in the next few days.
In the next few days. Fantastic. And practically, with these chains interoperating with each other, which businesses or do you see that will come to life on this that are not possible yet?
I mean, as Ed said, my work is very abstract, and I tend not to deal in concrete things. But yeah, I mean, basically, it's this is a key element. This is like the promise of like this sort of multi-sharded, you know, highly innovative, highly composable platform, right? This is why. This is why smart contract platforms. This is why what got me into the concept of a smart contract platform back, 8 years ago. The solutions on their own can do, they solve one, maybe a handful of problems, but they're fundamentally going to be limited. But when you combine solutions, right, either like on a stack or as like peers that can sort of utilize each other, that's where you get these incredible like magnification, these exponential improvements in utility, right? It's like you have one jigsaw puzzle, it's got like, 400 pieces. You have another jigsaw puzzle, it's got another 400 pieces. It's like individually, they're relatively easy to do. But like if you combine them and you make this like jigsaw puzzle that has, some like special combinatoric solution, then suddenly you've got like, 160,000 possible sort of pieces that you have to put together. And the sort of solution space is kind of similar. It's like you might have 400 sort of reasonable ways of utilizing one parachain and 400 reasonably sensible ways of utilizing another parachain. But each of those means of utilizing a parachain might be, there might be some sensible way of sort of combining it with this other solution provided by this other parachain. And so you just got this like massive explosion of utility. I
can give maybe an example, which I'm very excited about. So electric vehicles are, driving batteries. And a battery is, if you're trading electricity, a battery is the best thing to do arbitrage. And prices are crazy right now, and prices are volatile. And as at EnergyWeb, we also build completely new market designs, which will enable local trading and grid-aware trading, meaning it will make more sense to buy locally simply because you use less copper. And this trading of all the small assets of electric vehicle or any asset you have at home, this will happen automatically with algorithms. And so you will buy an asset, let's say you will buy an electric vehicle in a few years, where you will buy the electric vehicle based on a return on investment. Because you buy it with an algorithm, you buy it immediately within market access. So you have it at home and it's doing arbitrage in the night. It makes money, essentially. And once, this arbitrage, the identity will probably held on one chain, like Kilt, for example. And the trading will be done on another chain, which is specifically done for efficient price finding mechanisms. And then once you have the trading going on, you can take the trading history, which is authenticated, and you can put it on another chain, and you plug in DeFi. You can lend against it, and then you can make all the combinations. And so this is something what I expect to see in the next 3 to 5 years, where my car, my electric vehicle, electric appliances are trading by themselves, depending on the preferences I'm setting. And you can actually also see it at Rutger's, metaverse. So this will be amplifying it, because for now he's just putting in kind of, he's doing us a big favor, because we talk in very abstract terms. We look at 2D pictures where we do governance and all this stuff, and so he's making it explainable. What is a parachain? A relay chain. It's not actually round, but it's nice to it gives a sense. And so then you can go, the governance that we do, because governance is ultra important. That's something that there was no time, or it wasn't part of Ethereum, and that's for me kind of one of the key factors why Polkadot and Kusama, kind of this ecosystem will be winning, is because we can adapt incredibly fast. There is a formal process how we upgrade. And a system is only as healthy as good as it can upgrade, as you know, the process about it. So, you know, when Kusama was launched 2 years ago, I think in the first year there was like an upgrade every week. We changed monetary policy, we changed even the system, how to govern, how to vote, and so forth. So what this governance system has done in the first year is an equivalent what society, let's say in democratic level, has learned in 50 years. And so we just see how we can govern better. And we don't even know who's voting. We don't know the other people. There is no kind of, how do you call this? It's all completely science-based. Populism, there is no populism, you know. And that, you know, sorry, I completely went into a tunnel right now. But it's just governance excites me, you know. And then I'm very excited when there is a startup like Your coming out. Your, that's also one of the companies. They now go more and more into governance on chain, where I'm seeing like, yeah, this now starts to feel like we're building some form of a network state where it's not about land, but it's you know, we're building this system for ourselves. We want to live in it. Yeah.
Thanks, Ed. So we have 11 investments already in Scytale Horizon 2, 9 of which are here. We're looking at a few more in the game space. Where do you see, either of you, a lack of uptake in the Polkadot ecosystem, a place that needs more support, where we should be looking to work with teams to build something?
Do you want to answer that? You know, so I'm concerned about the energy world. So this is my big concern. Gaming, of course, brings a lot of users, right? Like you know, the first time like you know that the world really started looking at what we're doing is NFT, you know, which we had already like 4 years ago. Right, but you know the art is coming in.
Trent had it earlier, right?
Yeah, Trent,
right,
yeah, from Motion Protocol. But you know, for us it was like, oh look, they're buying these JPEGs now, but you know, this is what the NFTs can do out there now. This is just a tip of the iceberg. You know, this is like, there is so much more that can be done with NFTs. But so I'm, you know, on the one side, I'm curious to bring the whole energy world into this, and on the other side, I'm very curious, you know, at systems, at companies that help us replicate a network state, where we can govern ourselves, where we can create something similar like to a nation state, but purely on network. Because Web3 is all about values. How can we share values? You know, since the beginning, since I dropped in, I'm completely in crypto. It's very, you know, so there's still this little bit, you know, you need a bit of euro, you know, to pay here and there. But so, and you know, as you know, everyone was asking me always like, when do you exit? It's like, I was like, there's no exit. You will exit into my world. You know, I was like, I will not exit into your world. Your world is old. You know, we are much more efficient here. So I'm more, you know,
energy.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't understand much about gaming, to be honest. You know, that's that's why. Yeah. I don't know what would you like to see more?
Probably the more, let's say, experimental technologies. So I'm like, not so in, you know, I mean, very important, obviously, to have concrete utility. But for me, like, the technology is still relatively young. And I think a lot of stuff that would be that will facilitate mass utility is yet to be developed. Like it's not quite as maybe there are some things where, you know, you can envision a solution, build it, and it will actually work as you expect at like the mass level. But I think like, there's a lot more research and development to be done in terms of you know, zero knowledge stuff, some of the like hardcore abstract maths, and really making it usable by mortal developers. Like, there's a lot of like these kind of godlike mathematicians that actually get it. Like, they understand the underlying maths. They spend, they hold themselves up in like dark rooms, no windows, just like bashing away at the keyboard to it.
Like you do.
I sometimes sit outside.
You have a window? I don't know.
I have a window. Yeah. I got a nice balcony. I can sit out there. Yeah. But like, these are like hardcore people, right? And the maths is like beyond me. But the problem is that it's still in its infancy, which means it's not super usable. Like, it's very difficult for, let's say, product-oriented developers to actually utilize this. And that I see that like kind of as my job almost, to like sit between the guys, the great parachain coders, some of whom are here today, to give them comprehensible functionality and facilities on the software level, to be able to build great products, but using cutting edge technology. And we do what we can, but I think I would invite people that are, let's say, have a foot in both the world of the recluse mathematician that actually gets the underlying crypto math, and the developer, the coder, who understands good API design, and like actually put forward parachains that facilitate this level of this functionality to build products with the very difficult to understand underlying technology.
So one of the things that we do is we look for teams that are in other ecosystems that want to come over to Substrate and Polkadot and work with them and actively assist them to come over. How can a team, company, developer come over to Polkadot or a Substrate? What's the path that you see where they get welcome to the ecosystem?
I mean, we are a very builder-oriented ecosystem, right? The Polkadot, I started Polkadot. I still code, right? I still code quite a lot. And
it took me 3 years to convince him that he needs business development. He was like, no, it's just the tech, Like, it's just he didn't do any marketing, nothing. It was just the tech will win. The tech will win,
And like I think that shows in terms of the kind of, let's say, the kind of mentality that Polkadot welcomes within its community, and the kind of mentality that kind of just gets maybe not ignored, but like, let's say, a bit less attention. And so really, show us you're real. Build something. It doesn't need to be perfect, but like, build a prototype. Show it off. Give us a video. Give us a demo. Stand on stage. Use it. Show us that it works. Show us that you have some seriousness behind it. Because crypto is a lot of crypto these days is about it's bullshit. It's about like bullshit hype, buzzwords, people trying to get it on the next wagon. They don't build anything. And I think within the Polkadot ecosystem, we're a little bit better at seeing through that. And if you build something that's useful, I think you find a lot of attention with other builders. And other builders will want to collaborate. They'll want to use your stuff. And they'll want you to use their stuff. It's a really good ecosystem for, let's say, legitimate builders.
And there is incredible amount of funding available, not only from the funds, but from the treasury. So Polkadot has a fairly big treasury. There is a governance process how to dispatch this treasury, and this treasury needs to be used, so there is an inflation which goes to the people at stake and to the treasury, and if the treasury is not being used, the tokens are being burned, so there is an incentive actually to use the treasury. So, and these treasuries are by far more efficient in dispatching the money than the European Commission, so it works very fast. And the thing is, not only Polkadot or Kusama have treasuries. You know, every parachain, every team that makes their own chain, they have their own token economics, and usually they also have their own treasuries, and they build their own ecosystems. And so and now we start to see a Cambrian explosion. We're literally at the beginning right now, where we now see, you know, ecosystem funds popping up from nearly every parachain, and then so there's a lot of opportunities to go in here to get funding without getting diluted, to get first attention and prove yourself. We did exactly the same with Rutger. You know, I know Rutger since a while. I was a client of his online hackathon kind of thing, and I loved the team. And it took me a bit to convince him, hey, come on, you have to go into Web3 space. And then, and so we did the first round there, and then we said, look, you know, there is a huge treasury, close to $1 billion. You know, like, can you build this world, which he just demoed, you know, and let's write a proposal to the treasury. There is a council, and I know the council, you know, and they judged, you know, and you got 80K. How long it took? 2 weeks, or yeah, something like that. And so he's delivering his first milestone. I think it's awesome. The next ticket can be much bigger, and so yeah.
I don't have anything else except to say thank you. It's such a privilege to have you guys as our advisors, as partners, as our lead investors, to mentor us on how to look at the teams that we're investing with, what to look for to help nurture our partners. And so I just want to give a big round of applause for Ed and Gavin.
Cheers.